Welcome back to the Knick-Knack Review. I am your host, Clint the Knick-Knack, and today we're looking at the movie The Jungle Cruise. Let's get started. So the story starts out with Don Aquiri? Anywho, he's searching for the Tears of the Moon. It's this big old avatar-looking tree that lives in Wakanda, South Africa, and its petals give you like this healing power of Wolverine, but without the claws. Dr. Lily Houghton, played by Emily Blunt, and her brother MacGregor, played by Jack Whitehall, believed that the petals could revitalize medicine and also help in the British war effort. Keep in mind, this movie is supposed to be in 1916. She believes that an ancient arrowhead holds the key to actually finding this Wakanda tree. She requests access to the arrowhead and she's basically denied, so her and her brother decide to steal it and run. This is when you're introduced to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, aka Frank. And you learn that he's a tour guide giving people cruises along the jungle, and they run into him and they basically hire him to give them a tour of the jungle and try to find this magic tree. So that's basically the plot of this whole movie. Now I have to applaud the opening of this movie once they actually get to Dwayne Johnson's character, because it really understood what this movie comes from. This movie is based off of a ride at Disney World and Disneyland, and it knows that, and it appreciates it, and it actually pays homage to that. I mean, you've seen Dwayne Johnson's character actually cracking jokes just like the tour guides on the ride would do. Heck, you even see an animatronic hippo, which is not technically animatronic. For the time, it was considered maybe one, but it didn't have like all the animatronics of now, considering of the time of year. But it had a hippo come out of the water, much like the ride, and then it even had a huge boa constrictor on the tree, just like the ride. And there were a lot of hints and nods and Easter eggs basically throughout the whole movie, but in that little time, he was spot on with exactly how the ride experience is in the parks. So bravo, Disney, you did well on that. Even Trader Sam makes an appearance, but that's later on in the movie, and it's actually Trader Samantha. So, who knew? This movie also gives off some serious Indiana Jones vibes, and I mean that, and of course, in a really good way. Especially the scene where Frank and Lily and MacGregor are running through the market, and they're trying to escape the bad guys, and they have this scene where it's like a bunch of slapstick comedy, but it's not made to be really funny. It's fighting. They're fighting the bad guys off, but it's also slapstick mixed with comedy, and it reminded me of when Indiana Jones, when they were in the market fighting off the bad guys and kind of running away from them. I don't know if that was truly intentional or not, but that was another way of paying homage to that, so I like that. The villain of this movie, played by Jesse Lon Plemons, if I'm saying that correctly, this guy is a phenomenal actor. I don't believe he gets enough credit. He is very underrated. He did a great job, great German accent, I might add, and he was very villainous without being terrifying. Like, considering this is a family movie that a lot of kids will probably watch too, he was evil, but in a way like almost like a Disney villain could be. He's not too evil, but he's like evil just enough. He's right there. But this actor does a really good job in playing this character, and I don't think he gets enough credit in general throughout his entire career. Everything I've seen him in, I've enjoyed. At the time, I used to call him Discount Matt Damon, to now. He always gives 100% in all his performances, and I give him credit for that. Well done. Now, after watching Emily Blunt's performance in this movie, I gotta say, if they ever decide to make yet another live-action Tarzan movie, I would love to see her as Jane. She really gave me the Jane vibes from the Tarzan animated movie in the 90s. Just the way she was, and of course the way she talked, and just her mannerisms. It reminded me a lot of Jane. So hey, look, Disney, I don't really want you to make another remake of anything, but if you do, she should play Jane. I'm just saying. This movie is so much more than just a theme park ride made into a movie. It added depth, it added magic, it added legend, myth, and it really made it its own movie. It took a simple ride attraction with pretty much a simple story and made it into this grand story. with some hidden surprises along the way. Can't forget to mention the movie's visuals. It was absolutely stunning. There was a lot of CGI in this movie, but it didn't feel overly CGI. There were some practical effects here and there, not as much as CGI, but all in all, the CGI looks great. I don't have a problem with CGI being used in movies as long as it looks good. And it also makes sense. Again, this movie is 2 hours long. However, I never felt like it was being drawn out and like, oh my God, is this movie done already? No, not at all. This movie kept my interest. Now, there were, of course, times like in any movie where it sped up and slowed down. But even when it slowed down, it gave time for the character development. And that was key. Each character gets their own time to shine. Ever since Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, I feel like Disney has been trying to capture that lightning in a bottle yet again, and they've been doing it with movie after movie after movie after movie. Some of them more well received than others, but I feel like ever since Pirates came out, none has been quite successful as that. To be fair, it's kind of hard to make a movie based off of a ride that has a very simple, straightforward story and was never intended to be a motion picture. Some of these rides are based on movies. Now they're making movies based off of rides, which I think that's a very unique idea. And to be honest, in the world of remakes and reboots, that's actually refreshing. And to me, if you can make a movie that is based off of a, 5-minute ride, if that, I think that's pretty brilliant. And I feel like with this movie, even though I don't feel like it needs any kind of sequel or spin-off or anything, I feel like with this movie, they potentially struck lightning yet again. Or rather, captured lightning again. I have nothing but good things to say about this movie. The actors were great. They all fit the actors fit their characters really, really well. They all had great chemistry together, and they all, again, had their moments to shine. It was never a one-sided movie, even though you had your main characters. And they all portrayed them really well. You had a lot of action, you had comedy, you had magic, you had, again, myth and legend. And it was just a well-balanced recipe for a great time, a great movie. I would definitely rate this movie theater-worthy. Well, that about does it for here, guys. Let me know what you thought about this movie, and give me your opinion on how certain rides are made into movies. Which ones would you like to see converted into a movie? Or should they just stop trying to do all this altogether? I'd love to hear what you think. And also, while you're there, don't forget to, you know what to do. As always, I am Clint the Knickknack, and I will see you on the next.